Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Film, and no, I'm not qualified to be a doctor. Today in this review, we're taking a look at a new movie called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring the one and only Nicholas Cage!
Nick Cage.
Before we begin, you should know that this review will contain minimum spoilers ahead. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe so you won't miss any new content. So without further ado, let's go full on Nick Cage in this review. Wow!
Put your right foot in, you take your right foot out, you do the hokey and you...
Obviously, our first topic should be about Nicolas Cage, playing as, well, Nick Cage. He was energetic, hilarious, and he did so well bringing that same liveliness that we all recognize from his early works in the 90s. It's worth mentioning that this movie isn't a biopic, nor a realistic depiction of this actor's life, but rather a humorous look at what a blockbuster actor is doing in his late 50s. In other words, Nicolas Cage plays an exaggerated version of himself.
What's the worry here, Nick? You've lost some of your talent as an actor?
No.
It's also worth noting that he plays a younger version of himself, which was a great idea. Although I wasn't a big fan of the de-aging effects. I think it needed more work, to be honest. Of course, let's not forget Javi Gutierrez, played by the Mandalorian. I mean Pedro Pascal. He was funny, likable, and surprisingly had good chemistry with Nicolas Cage. Even though he's technically not a good person, you can't help it but love this character and appreciate how much of a fan he is of Nicolas Cage.
Is this supposed to be me? It's grotesque. I'll give you 20,000 for it.
I swear, these two are inseparable. As for the rest of the cast, they did fairly well. However, I feel like the film underutilized these two actors. Honestly, I expected much more from them, but no, they're your typical CIA agents with little screen time. But to be fair, they do have some humorous moments, such as this scene.
Have you seen Crudes 2?
I'm 44 years old. Why the f would I see Crudes 2? I've seen Face Off and Con Air.
Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Speaking of humor, the comedy was really well. The humor was memorable, delightful, and what sells the jokes in this movie are the interactions between Nick Cage and Javi Gutierrez. I swear, everything they do together is nothing but laughs.
Look, can you just stop stalling and answer the question? What is your third favorite movie of all time?
Paddington 2.
What?
And of course, this movie has elements of action. The action was entertaining, and it was cool to see Nicolas Cage returning to his old roots as an action hero.
Are those my golden guns?
They're my golden guns.
I don't want to kill you.
You're the last person I want to kill.
I love you. I love you.
Although some action sequences were a bit stale and generic, including the climax, which I will get to later. Now for the story. The story was creative and pleasant, and it nicely celebrated the work of Nicolas Cage. On top of that, we surprisingly take a deep dive into how some actors are struggling to find significant film roles due to their age and little admiration. It can take a toll on an actor both professionally and emotionally, and Nicolas Cage strongly shows it with his performance. This story is so incredibly self-aware that Nick Cage and Javi talk about how few creative movies are out nowadays, since there are nothing but Marvel, DC, and cash grab movies. Which is brutally correct. Now for the cons. As I mentioned before, some of the action scenes were stale and generic, and once we would get to the final act, it was pretty standard and you could pretty much predict what happens next. But what saved the climax from becoming just another action finale is its ending. I can't spoil it for you, but man, it was worth a watch. You won't see it coming.
You didn't see that coming?
Overall, my friends, this movie was a blast. The humor was well written, the story was intriguing, and Nicolas Cage killed it with his role. Honestly, when going into this movie, I expected nothing much, but this film surprised me with its wit and creativity. Even though this film has a few shares of its problems, I still think you can have an enjoyable time with this one. So I recommend checking it out, and let me know what you think. With all that said, I'm pretty confident that this isn't the last time we will see the one and only Nicolas Cage. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent scores an 8.5 out of 10. Well, that's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and follow me on Instagram at DrFilmRodsets for updates on my channel. Thank you all so much for watching this review. It really means a lot. And as always, I will see you guys at our next appointment. But wait, here's a quick montage of Nicolas Cage doing what he does best.
No, no, no.
You're gonna be fine, baby doll.
Beggars a match. Balls and swing. Smoke deal pie.
Who can get tired of him?